20 seconds, councillors, to start the meeting.
Welcome everyone to the special council budget submissions meeting for the 16th of May for the Wellington Shire. Good members of the gallery should note that the council records and publishes council meetings via YouTube to enhance the accessibility of council meetings to the broader Wellington community. These recordings are also archived and may be published on council's website for viewing by the public or use for publicity or information purposes. At the appropriate times during the meeting, members of the gallery may address the council, at which time their image, comments or submissions will be recorded. Members of the public who are not in attendance at the council meeting but who wish to communicate with the council via the online web form should lodge their questions or comments early in the meeting to ensure their submissions can be dealt with at the end of the meeting. Please could gallery visitors, councillors and invited online attendees ensure that mobile phones and other electronic devices are turned off or in silent mode for the duration of the meeting. Wellington Shire Council acknowledges our offices are located on the traditional lands of the Gunai Nation. We pay our deep respects to their elders, past, present and future, and acknowledge their ongoing cultural and spiritual connections to their land and waters. We have no apologies. Councillor Wood will be arriving, it may be late, but I'd just like to, we have 4 councillors that are online. Councillors, if you could say that you see and hear me. Councillor Marr? You're on mute, Councillor Marr. Maybe in your settings you haven't got that you can, we can't hear you. We could before with whatever you've done. No, still can't hear you. Maybe go in and go out again. Councillor Tatterson? No, it might be at our end. Councillor Stevens? It's at our end. One moment, we should just get IT to look at that. Councillor Rossetti, we have one last chance. No, so something must be at our end. Well, just one moment, we'll just pause the meeting.
Oh, indeed.
Right, we are back. So we'll start again. Councillor Marr.
I can see and hear you.
Perfect. Councillor Tatterson.
Yes, I can see and hear you, Mr.
Councillor
Mayor.
Stevens.
Yes, Mayor, I can see and hear you.
And Councillor Rossetti.
I can see and hear you as well, Mayor.
Thank you, everyone online. Is there anyone with a declaration of conflict of interest?
No.
No. Item 3.1, which is receipt and consideration of submissions relating to the 24-25 draft budget. At this stage, I'll call on anyone in the gallery that would like to talk to their submissions. So I believe correspondent 1, 2 and 3 are not in attendance, but correspondent for the Merlu Hall Committee of Management, if they would like to come forward and just state your name and address council.
My name's James Blanford. I'm 35 and I'm a local carpenter. I'm here with Jen Smith today to speak to the request for support for the Merlu Public Hall. I'm like each of you, a passionate regional citizen of the Wellington Shire. I'm the captain of the Merlu CFA, executive member of the Hall Committee, the Anzac Day Committee, the Cricket Club and a local football netball club. Merlu is a community that is small in assets but big in spirit. We don't have a school, a library, parks or gardens, public toilets, waste collection, a pool or even a footpath. But we do have one highly used community facility. My family have been actively involved in community life and the maintenance of this facility for more than 80 years. My grandfather built the first kitchen and the toilets in the 70s. My father and I renovated the kitchen in the early 2000s. I assisted in the renovation of the cricket pavilion, and after an old shearers' quarters was moved to the site, and then I extended it in 2016 to accommodate 2 teams. Please support this project and help me build the 3rd rendition of the kitchen and a 2nd of the toilets, and build facilities that will empower young women and girls in sport.
Councillors and Mayor, my name is Jen Smith from the Merlu community. I don't need to tell you that a farmer takes their life every 10 days. I don't need to tell you why community halls are so important. I don't need to tell you that community facilities need modernisation, to remove asbestos and provide separate facilities for women and girls. I do need to tell you that this project is shovel-ready, has an amazing leader in James, and support from community members like myself on the growth team. As you would have read in the brief, this project has been planned, scoped and costed. We have designs that are modest, but will platform this facility's capacity to host commercial events and generate revenue for future repairs and capital requirements. We only have to look 10 minutes down the road from here to see how the Bundalagia Hall has transformed that community and is providing a sustainable future for that facility. The Merlu community are passionate, energetic, united, and we have energy and we're ready to go. We have cash to contribute and capacity to fundraise more. In your budget considerations tonight, we have 2 requests which are detailed in our brief. 1, we would like to request formal administration support and capacity from a qualified and experienced council officer to continue seeking grants for the required $230,000 for this project's sporting components. We seek funding for this project component from other sources outside the Shire budget. We have 1 EOI application submitted already, and we'd like to partner with the Wellington Shire to continue to leverage funding from outside of the council budget for that component of the project. Our second request is $850,000 for the hall refurbishment from the current budget. If this is not possible, we would like to have a formal strategy over the next 3 years to see our community facility and us invested in. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you then. Thank you, James. Council, is there any questions that we had? No? Thank you very much. And then submission number 5, if you'd like to come forward.
Thank you. My name's Jim King, a resident of Maffra, and also Secretary of the Maffra Men's and Women's Shed. I appreciate the opportunity to address this meeting. You have my original email dated the 8th of May regarding the 24-25 council budget, in which I raised several concerns which I'd now like to elaborate on. In the Gippsland Times article of 7/5/24, Mayor By states, this draft budget forecasts a year of restraint, balancing substantial cost pressures and spending responsibly when it comes to infrastructure and services needed by our community. Further into the article, Mayor By states our community facilities remain a priority. Although we can't fund every request, we are happy to announce that projects like the installation of LED lighting at Maffra Lawn Tennis Club costing $365,000 and a $920,000 change rooms upgrade at Maffra Community Sporting Complex will go ahead this year, depending on securing external funding. These comments immediately pose 2 questions. Do lighting and change room upgrades qualify as needed by our local community? And further, does it imply that council resources will be used to seek external funding for these projects? Being a Maffra resident, I note that there exists a range of very well established and modern facilities for sporting clubs, including the Maffra Football and Netball Club, the Maffra Lawn Tennis Club, the Maffra Golf Club, the Maffra Bowls Club and the Cameron Sporting Complex. Over recent years, all of these clubs have received extensive council-provided or sourced funding to improve or upgrade their facilities. This is great for current and future participants who utilise these venues. However, not all Maffra residents are involved in sporting activities and increasingly rely on more subtle forms of recreation provided by smaller community groups. I point out that the Maffra Lawn Tennis Club has recently received major funding, including from this Shire, to upgrade club rooms, and the Cameron Sporting Complex also received major funding, including this council, for a new complex which one would have thought included modern changing rooms. In addition, sporting clubs within the Shire have done very well over recent years via the provision of support by the Shire, either via direct funding or council-supported funding, including the Stratford Rec Reserve and Football Club, Stratford Rec Reserve Football and Netball Club, for the renovation of existing bar and club room costing around $1 million. This formed part of Council's $17 million granted under 4 stages of the Local Roads and Community Infrastructure Program, a federally funded program. These 3 examples relate to upgrades to existing multi-million-dollar facilities. In Maffra, the local community sports club, per their constitution, can only grant funds to sporting organisations, although the club supports other local non-sporting community groups via the running of weekly raffles. Funds generated are insufficient to meet the cost of major upgrades of facilities. In addition, Maffra residents or Maffra community groups do not have any access to the John Leslie Foundation. It's too far out of town from Sale. We can't access any funding through there. I contend that non-sporting voluntary-based community groups have been left behind by Council in relation to the provision of serious funding to upgrade some very basic and unsafe facilities on Council-owned or managed land throughout Maffra. For example, the Macmillan Rockhounds who were previously virtually promised that their accommodation needs would take some priority, but to date nothing has happened. The Maffra Girl Guides, whose building appears to be in need of major work. The Maffra Croquet Club, again appearing in need of major work. And the Maffra Men's Women's Shed, who are attempting to raise funds via 3 current applications completed by volunteers to refurbish the amenities block at the former Wellington Shire Council managed Maffra RV Park. I'll point out right here that we've put up our shed. The Maffra Men's Shed has put up a new shed costing $180,000. We got $80,000 for a state grant, and the other $100,000 was raised locally by fundraising efforts throughout the town, donations from businesses in the town. That reflects that our shed and that facility down there in the RV park is well and truly supported by our local community. We have received minor funding from the council, but we need a major injection. Rather than council budgeting for well-established sporting groups to modernise, upgrade existing infrastructure, I suggest that a moratorium or temporary suspension of major sporting club funding for activities be implemented to enable a complete review to be undertaken of required building works for smaller, voluntary-based community groups throughout the Shire. This approach would link in with Council's Community Managed Facilities Strategy 2020-25 document, in which Mayor Stevens states, this strategy identifies key areas where Council will support community managed facilities and the committees that manage them to ensure the continuation of the great work they do. 3 key areas identified by Mayor Stevens included improved risk management to ensure all facilities are safe for volunteers of the community, stronger strategic planning to develop and invest in facilities where the community will get the most benefit, and most importantly, in my opinion, improve fairness and equity across all of Wellington Shire. What is the point of having these strategic documents unless Council is going to follow the recommendations and the matters raised within them? The current financial situation facing all levels of government, to me, and I'm sure many in our community, requires decision makers to be more prudent and accountable in the allocation of taxpayer, ratepayer funds to ensure that an even-handed approach which results in properly targeted, appropriate, meaningful expenditure occurring across the whole of our community. I'm sure that the Maffra Lawn Tennis Club and the Cameron Sporting Complex can continue to provide a benefit for their combined membership with their existing recently upgraded facilities, so as the proposed upgrade budget of $1.2 million can be allocated to more pressing community projects within Maffra. I've got a copy of this submission, and I also have photos of the examples I've quoted. The Macmillan Rockhounds, the Girl Guides, the Croquet Club, and a couple of photos of the tennis club with their lighting, and the Cameron Sporting Reserve. I'll leave these with your...
Yeah, just leave those with maybe Chris at the end. That'd be
Thank
fine.
you.
Thanks, Jim. Is there any questions for Jim? Councillors? No? No, no one? Thank you, Jim. So now, if I can get someone to, go back to my notes, move the recommendation that is there at the moment. Councillor Crosley.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that Council receive and consider any verbal and written submissions as attached and is delivered relating to the 2024-25 draft budget.
And seconded by Councillor Ripper. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Thank you everyone for attending. So all the people that did put submissions in, we will write that they have been received and let you know in due course. So thank you everyone, and we'll now move into a meeting for discussion. Thank you. Yeah, meeting closed at 5:15.